So we're coming up on the second year anniversary of George Floyd finally being clean and sober. May 25th, in fact, I think is the vaunted date, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of wonderful parades in his memory. And you know what? Hey, everybody will go down and take a knee in front of some of the many statues that are out there. I think that's the one that's either in New York or it's in some major metropolitan city. But regardless, right? Throughout the entire world, even 2 years after the fact, it is still a verboten topic. You cannot make fun of it, and in fact, it will cost you your job. Even if you do, thank Christ, I'm self-employed. Fired UK cop faces prison for grossly offensive George Floyd memes. 2 years after the fact, he gets fucking fired. God, the UK is cucked. Okay, in the hierarchy of Western Western countries, my mistake. I'm pretty sure in some aspects, God, I'd got to look at this holistically, but I'm pretty sure right at the top of the cuck scale, it's got to still be the UK, right? And then Canada slightly underneath of it, and even as fucked as the United States is, okay, like, they gave birth to this entire movement with fucking stupid George Floyd right there, right? But even still, you still got a constitution, so you got some sort of leeway there, and even though it gets stepped on fairly frequently, is still the bedrock foundation of society. But you gotta put the UK up top, and Canada's challenging them. It's real close. It's neck and neck. No knees on those necks though. Anyways, the now fired British police officer and former prison guard faces imprisonment for sending grossly offensive memes about George Floyd on WhatsApp. I was trying to find the memes because I just wanted to see how, on a scale of dank to boomer, like, what are we talking about here? But unfortunately, I couldn't find any of this illegal material. Oh my god. I guess we'll just have to make our own fentanyl factory jokes. Floyd, who died after U.S. police officer Derek Chauvin, since convicted of unintentional second-degree murder, third-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter, and several other things as well. I was going to pull up the appeal document that he sent out last year at this point. It's still yet to be picked up by the Federal Court of Appeals. But then at the same time, Chauvin's federal charges, because he was also convicted in a federal court to have deprived George Floyd of his civil rights or whatever dog shit. But he was initially sentenced to like life in prison, which really didn't mean much because he was already facing basically life in prison at the state level. But that charge has since been appealed and picked up by a federal court judge, and then he's going to be facing 22 and a half years, but then that gets superseded by the amount of state time that he's going to be doing, which is where all of these murder and manslaughter charges are. But the appeal document itself is very interesting. It addresses a bunch of the points that we talked about when the case was all decided, when we were going through everything at the time in early 2021. But yeah, when that eventually gets picked up, I'd love to run through that document. There's a bunch of really good breakdowns out there, but yeah, I'd like to go through it at one point or another if things start to slow down. But, you know, hey, it's election year, so highly unlikely that's going to be the case. Or if there is like a big outcry for it, I fucking doubt it. But whatever, regardless, whenever it piques my fancy. Back to this story. Oh yes, he kneeled on the neck of George Floyd during an arrest in Minneapolis for 9 minutes and whatever, 18 seconds or some dumb shit like that, right? Where his knee was definitely on his neck the entire time, and it wasn't ever like floating above, and it wasn't, you know, on his back at certain points or anything like that. And that, yeah, you look at different angles and everything looks a little bit different. And it's not like he had enough fentanyl in his system that could have killed an entire fucking pack of elephants. But regardless, whatever, Chauvin killed Floyd. End of story. That's what a totally unbiased jury. Oh fuck, I can't even say that because there was that one juror who also went to a Black Lives Matter rally and didn't disclose that on his voir dire, and then that's another appeal point. That's all. Anyways, nope. Decided fairly and honestly in the court, in the highly respected Hennepin County Court, which definitely didn't also levy an equally baffling decision against another police officer, meaning that there's not going to be a fair trial for police officers in the state of Minnesota, and specifically within the boundaries of the Twin Cities. Oh fuck, I got off on another tangent. Sorry, my mistake. Anyways, but it also included the offending document here, going back to the UK police officer here who got fired for sharing memes about some dead black guy in another fucking country who overdosed with the help of a curb and a ex-cop, whatever, was included among 10 memes alleged to be grossly offensive. Maybe they were just like really bad memes, like just really poorly constructed. The Photoshop was just not even like funny bad. It was just, not of dank enough quality, which was shared by ex-Constable James Watts in the group chat. For those of you in the United States, Constable is like a beat cop, okay? We have the equivalent still in Canada because... Okay, see, this is why I meander back and forth about which country is more cucked, because basically all of the Canadian infrastructure is still based upon that of the United Kingdom. It's baffling and weird. Anyway, sending such a message is a crime under the Communications Act of 2003 in the United Kingdom, where the right to freedom of expression is guaranteed only under the very loose parameters laid out in the European Convention of Human Rights and is largely notional. Yeah, exactly. They're more like guidelines, really. Article 10 of this convention states that people have the freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority and regardless of frontiers. Oh, that sounds great if they would have just stopped right there, but that the exercise of this right may be subject to such formalities, conditions, restrictions, or penalties and are prescribed by law and are necessary in a democratic society in the interest of national security, territorial integrity, or public safety. That's the bullet point that's always cited, because how is national or territorial security / integrity affected by memeing something that happened 2 years ago in a country that kicked your ass some 300 years ago? Whatever. But yes, it's public safety. Somebody could be offended by that internet message being shared in a private communication chat room. Yes, of course. Whatever. For the prevention of disorder or crime. For the prevention of health or morals. Oh my god, so it's fucking haram to do George Floyd memes? Whatever. For the protection of the reputation of rights of others. For preventing the disclosure of information received in confidence. Oh, so isn't that kind of... doesn't this kind of contradict the ruling itself? Okay, preventing the disclosure of information received in confidence. This was in a private chat room, right? This was in a WhatsApp group, okay? It wasn't open to the public, and then somebody betrayed his confidence by taking it to the police. Like, what are we doing here? Or for maintaining the authority and impartiality of the judiciary, which is just fucking laughable. Anyways, prosecutor Richard Purchase told a Birmingham magistrate's court that 4 of the memes shared by the accused officer explicitly referred to George Floyd as and the ongoing Black Lives Matter protests, and to some extent mocked his death. Yes, because he was a man of great repute and didn't have a criminal record as long as my fucking arm. Claiming that the remaining 6 appeared to be more general racist memes. Yes, of course, I've never said a racist thing in my life, so I'm a man of great moral impunity, and I have the right to go ahead and tell you that they're terrible without actually showing you, because that would also be an offense here in the great United Kingdom. An Express and Star court report was vague about the actual content of the message, noting that only one of them featured a white dog wearing a Klan outfit. Okay, I don't even know what that could begin to meme. And the others featured images of a kneeling Matt and a monkey. Okay, that might be a little bit more, illustrative than the other stuff. You make your own jokes. And mocked a line in the movie Jaws. There's a whole bunch I could think of. But again, Canada has these wonderful human rights tribunals, so... I'll just, once again, leave everybody to speculate, but long and short of it is, I think we're going to need a bigger squad car. Watts pleaded guilty to 10 counts of sending... I can't believe that you actually have to fucking agree to this, okay? 10 counts of sending a grossly offensive or menacing message by public communications network, but co-accused Joanne Jinks. Oh, nobody likes a snitch here, dude. Still of West Mercia police pleaded not guilty to the same offense. She faces trial in August? What the fuck? So, okay, yeah, Watts, for his part, now awaits a sentencing in June with Deputy Chief Magistrate Tan Ikram, making it clear that he's not ruling out prison time due to what he described as aggravating features in the case. Like what, sending multiple memes? Is that aggravating? Or what, was he gonna print them out and fucking tape them to signposts? Like, what the fuck could this possibly be? And the fact that the court has to bear in mind the considerable reputational damage to a dead motherfucker? What are we doing here? There can be this sort of offending when no one is dealing with police officers. Oh my god. Okay, cool. Well, again, I don't know all of the specific legal rulings that are there, like abusing a position of authority. The fact that they were police officers, like, is that what you're going to try to grab in here? This was in no way and no means within the official capacity of being a constable, okay? This was a bunch of people getting together and having a little laugh at old movie quotes, which I do on the fucking regular. This is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, and it just goes to show you that it's still vaunted ground, and anybody who broaches the topic of George Floyd, oh my God, you get the rope, not that kind of rope, or you know what I mean. Even the tertiary police officers that are there. We already addressed Derek Chauvin, but there were 3 officers that were there. One that called 911, okay, another one who just stood and did crowd control and was like, hey, Derek, you should probably let up on that. And then another guy who's, like the second day was on the fucking job. And then they ended up all getting charged with civil rights violations. And in their federal trial, they got convicted. And they could be facing, like, years and years and years in jail. It's totally fucked, by the way. They've all filed appeals because it's like, what are we doing here? None of this shit makes sense, and because it was a federal trial, you couldn't follow the court proceedings because there's no audio, no video. You just have to go off of transcripts and everything that came out because of that. And knowing fervor around the case, they were never going to get a fair and honest trial, even if it went to a grand jury, okay? Has Black Lives Matter, has George fucking Floyd attached to it, everybody gets the harshest of sentences. And all of these guys have since filed for appeal, but this is where it stands at the moment. Judge denies motion of acquittal for former Minneapolis officers involved in George Floyd's death. They didn't do anything. One guy held down some fucking ankles, which is also in the instruction manual of when the police officers are taught, okay? That's in their use of force manual. It's like on page fucking 2, which was also redacted and is another point on the appeal docket for Derek Chauvin, but whatever, regardless. Motion to acquit 3 former officers involved in George Floyd's death was denied on Wednesday of last week. When was this published or something? May 13th. Yes, okay, so a week and change ago. According to court documents, the 3 former officers, Tu Tao, Thomas Lane, and Alexander Kwang, whatever, were convicted of violating George Floyd's civil rights in February this year. How exactly did they do that? Whatever. Another former officer, Derek Chauvin, was convicted of George Floyd's murder. Oh, his murder. So exactly. Okay, so he's convicted of the murder. So how did these guys deprive somebody who's dying of... See how funky this shit gets? And sentenced to 22 and a half years, 270 months in prison. That's on the federal side, but the state side is... It's so fucking messy, and the appeal is just waiting to be picked up. It's 84 pages long. It's very easily accessible, but maybe I'll go through it one day. Court documents concluded that the defendants' convictions are supported by evidence. Sure they are. And defendants did not establish that the prosecutorial misconduct deprived them of their rights. Really? And the motion for the judgment of acquittal was denied. But that's also a very high bar to cross anyways. Tao and Kwang also filed motions for mistrial claiming prosecutorial misconduct, and Lane joined the defendants' motions. Okay, court records show the judge also denied those as well. Yeah, no, exactly. They want to be seen as the good white liberals that are out there just standing up for the dignity of the great Saint Floyd. Ugh. Oh, whatever. Yeah, we're right on the precipice of the 2-year anniversary, so I'm going to go check out some memes while they're still legal. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.